Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss about the second part of Brihat Bhagavatamrita. How many of you were here yesterday? Okay. And so you know the background then, but still I'll briefly discuss about the background for those who are not here yesterday. This Brihat Bhagavatamrita has been written by Srila Sanatana Goswami, and Brihat Bhagavatamrita actually is in a way the continuity of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Sukadev Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Then after that, after he finished describing Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj's mother, Uttara Devi, asked Parikshit Maharaj to tell her about what he learned from Srila Sukadev Goswami. Then Parikshit Maharaj started to tell her about what he understood, what he learned from Srila Sukadev Goswami, and that is this Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So first part of Brihat Bhagavatamrita described about Narad Muni's search for the greatest devotee. The search actually started from a Brahmana in Prayag, and that when Narad Muni approached that Brahmana, glorifying him as the greatest recipient of the mercy of the Lord, then that Brahmana pointed out that he was not the greatest devotee of the Lord. A certain king in South India was the greatest devotee of the Lord. So Narad Muni then immediately went to that king's kingdom, and he saw what the Brahmana said about that king was true. Like, he was such a great devotee, he was worshipping the Lord with such grandeur. But when he started to glorify the king as the greatest devotee of the Lord, the king told him no, he was not the greatest devotee. And he pointed out to Indra as the greatest devotee. Then Narad Muni went to Indra and started to glorify him as the greatest devotee. Then Indra pointed out, no, I am not the greatest devotee. Lord Brahma is the greatest devotee, your father. So then Narad Muni went to Lord Brahma. Then Brahma told him, actually Brahma chastised Narad Muni. Why do you speak like that? Didn't I tell you so many times that I am not the greatest? Rather, I offend the Lord in so many ways, so many times, and the Lord chastises me for that. And he pointed out that Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. Now then, did the search stop there? We say Vaishnavanam Jathar Shambhu, so the search should have stopped here. No. What did Lord Shiva point out? Then Lord Shiva pointed out that the residents of Vaikuntha are the greatest devotee. And then Parvati pointed out that among all the residents of Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi was the greatest devotee. Then when Narad Muni was about to leave for Vaikuntha, then Lord Shiva stopped him and then told him that actually even greater than the residents of Vaikuntha is the devotion of Prahlad Maharaj. Then Narad Maharaj went to Prahlad Maharaj and started to glorify him as the greatest devotee. Then Prahlad Maharaj pointed out that no, Hanuman is the greatest devotee. And these are all actually factual presentation. They are giving specific reasons why the other person is a greater devotee. For example, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that where is devotion? Where was any devotion in me? As a child, I became attached to the Lord, and I used to just remember the Lord. But devotion is expressed through service. I did not render any service. I simply depended upon Him, and the Lord rescued me. That's His mercy. But look at the service that Hanuman rendered. And then Narad Muni went to Hanuman. Then Hanuman pointed out that no, the Pandavas are the greatest devotee. If I was so dear to the Lord, then why did the Lord leave me behind? Why did the Lord leave? And then he pointed out that the Pandavas are the greatest devotee because the Lord is taking care of them in such a wonderful way. He is bestowing so much love. And then he went to the Pandavas in Hastinapur. Then the Pandavas pointed out, no, we are not the greatest devotee. The Jadus are the greatest devotee. They are the relatives of the Lord. They are so dear to the Lord that Lord has made them His own family members. And there he goes to, when he goes to Dwarka, then the Jadus pointed out that among them, Uddhav is the greatest devotee. Then when Narad Muni went to find Uddhav, then he came to Krishna's inner chamber of the palace. And there he got to see how Krishna was reacting due to his separation from the residents of Vrindavan. And his separation from the residents of Vrindavan was so intense that he fainted. And Balaram also fainted along with him. Then seeing that condition, Brahma came and he instructed Garuda to carry Krishna and Balaram to New Vrindavan, Nava Vrindavan. In the middle of the ocean, there is a mountain called Raivatak, and in Raivatak mountain, Vishwakarma has created a New Vrindavan. So they were taken to New Vrindavan. In New Vrindavan, there are just the murtis of New Vrindavan is created just like Vrindavan. But it is Vishwakarma's creation. It's like a diorama. The whole Vrindavan has been created, and all the personalities of Vrindavan were there, but they are just murtis. Of course, murtis also are Satchidananda Vigraha. So then Narad Muni saw how Krishna was reacting to different associates in Vrindavan, especially with Srimati Radharani. So in this way, it was established that the residents of Vrindavan are the greatest recipients of Krishna's mercy. And among all the residents of Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani's position is the greatest. See how wonderfully Sanatana Goswami, through this beautiful narration, established the greatest devotee in a very, very systematic way. Okay, now we come to the second part of Brihat Bhagavatamrita. This narration is actually by this Brihat Bhagavatamrita is spoken, although it is a conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and his mother Uttara, but this narration is actually is by Jaimini Rishi speaking to Janamejai, the son of Parikshit Maharaj. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam was Sukadeva Goswami's narration of Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, and then Sutta Goswami, who was present there, narrated it to the sages of Naimisharanya. This narration is by Jaimini Rishi to Janamejai. He is actually narrating what went on, the discussion between Parikshit Maharaj and Uttara, and because he was present there and he heard it himself. So, Jaimini Rishi was present during the conversation, and so Uttara actually asked a question. We can see that those days even the ladies were so advanced with spiritual knowledge. Uttara described that in this universe there are 7 higher planetary systems. Those 7 higher planetary systems are Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka, Swarloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. And Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, these 3 planetary systems are meant for householders to fulfill their desires. This place is actually the meant for householders. Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka and Swarloka, and this is a place of fulfillment of material desires, going up all the way up to heavenly planet or Swargaloka. But then beyond that there are 4 other planetary systems. They are Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. And those places are meant for brahmacharis and sannyasis. Brahmacharis, vanaprasthis and sannyasis. Like there are 2 types of brahmacharis. Naishtiki brahmacharis, Upakurban brahmacharis and Naishtiki brahmacharis. So Maharloka and Janaloka are for the brahmacharis. And then Tapaloka, Satyaloka for the renunciates. Anyway, so her question was that after performing devotional service in Vaikuntha, then performing devotional service into those places in higher planetary systems, or like wherever it is, whether one is a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, the consideration of becoming free from material bondage and elevating to the spiritual sky depends upon one factor. What is that factor? By renunciation and by performing austerities can one become free from material bondage and go back to Godhead? No. The only consideration for elevation to the spiritual sky is devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So through her question, she made this point clear, that by performing devotional service, one becomes elevated to the spiritual sky. Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, one achieves 4 kinds of liberation. Sarupya, Samupya, Sadakya and Shashti. These 4 kinds of liberation. But a devotee doesn't actually care for liberation. Although liberation is given to them, they are not interested in liberation. Devotee is simply concerned about serving the Lord. Because the consideration of giving pleasure to the Lord depends upon service. By serving, one gives pleasure to the Lord. Therefore, the main consideration for devotion is pleasing the Lord by rendering service. Now, from the description of the first part, it became clear that there is a region that is beyond Vaikuntha, where Krishna's own associates, Premi Bhaktas, the devotees who have nothing but love for Krishna, reside. So the consideration actually was how these Premi Bhaktas should achieve their perfection in the spiritual world. That means, simple question is, how can one enter into Vrindavan, which is even beyond Vaikuntha? Now, in this respect, we can also consider in Chaitanya Charitamrita, 3rd chapter of Adi Leela, it has been described that after performing his Braja Leela, Krishna considered that I have revealed my Braja Leela, Vrindavan pastimes. Now, how will anyone ever enter into Vrindavan? How will anyone ever have access to Vrindavan? And why did Krishna consider that? Because Krishna's consideration was that everyone renders service unto him performing Vaidhi Bhakti. But performing Vaidhi Bhakti, when one achieves perfection, he becomes elevated to Vaikuntha. And when one goes to Vaikuntha, he will get his Swarup. His Swarup is eternal. Then how will anyone be able to enter into Vrindavan, which is beyond Vaikuntha? So that's why this Krishna considered that how to solve that problem. And that is why Krishna came as a devotee. The purpose, the reason why Krishna came as a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has two reasons. One is external reason, the other is the internal reason. Now this is the problem that Krishna himself faced, is that everybody will render devotional service unto him following the rules and regulations of the scriptures. Devotional service following the rules and regulations of the scriptures is called Vaidhi Bhakti. And when one achieves perfection through Vaidhi Bhakti, then what happens? Where does it go? Vaikuntha. So Krishna's consideration is, how will then anyone ever enter into Vrindavan? Everybody will render devotional service to me following Vaidhi Bhakti. Therefore, Krishna decided to come as a devotee. Now see, when this devotee Krishna is served following Vaidhi Bhakti, then one gets entrance to Vrindavan. Is that clear, this point? Okay, now it needs some more explanation also. But at least this point I want to make everybody understand. One thing is becoming very, very clear, that devotees must render service to Krishna following Vaidhi Bhakti. Sometimes there is anyway, I don't want to get into the complication, but here I want to make this point clear because Krishna himself is saying it. Sakal jagote more kore vidhi bhakti. The whole world renders service unto me following Vaidhi Bhakti. So the rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to this understanding, is executed following Vaidhi Bhakti. So when this Supreme Personality of Godhead as a devotee is rendered devotional service, he gets access to Vrindavan. The way to enter into Vrindavan is by serving Krishna as a devotee, not Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if we worship devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, then we will go to Vaikuntha. When we render devotional service to devotee Supreme Personality of Godhead, that qualifies us to go to Vrindavan. So, and this also has another consideration, because whatever Krishna does is perfect. When Krishna makes this arrangement, you have to understand this arrangement is perfect. And why this arrangement is perfect? Now let us consider. Vaidhi Bhakti takes to Vaikuntha, then what kind of Bhakti takes to Vrindavan? Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti takes to Vrindavan. But here we are seeing that Krishna is not encouraging us to execute Raganuga Bhakti. Krishna is saying that everybody serves me following Vaidhi Bhakti. Okay, what is the meaning of Raganuga Bhakti?
Spontaneity.
Okay, let's try to get a more clear understanding of this. Rag Anug. Rag means pure love. The residents of Vrindavan has pure love for Krishna. Therefore, these devotees are called Ragatmika Bhaktas. The residents of Vrindavan are known as Ragatmika Bhaktas. And when these Ragatmika Bhaktas, when one follows the Ragatmika Bhaktas, then that devotion is called Raganuga Bhakti. Devotional service following a Ragatmika Bhakta is called Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, now Krishna came as a devotee, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Which devotee Krishna came as? Very good. Krishna came as with the mood of Srimati Radharani. So who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So when we are following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are we following?
Radharani.
Srimati Radharani. The greatest of the Ragatmika Bhaktas. So when you are following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what are you doing? You are doing Raganuga Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti in this way is automatically transformed into Raganuga Bhakti. So ultimately that is what is being established through this description of Sanatana Goswami, which was presented in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila, 3rd chapter, as a sutra. It's being established here as the practical application. So I just wanted to give you all this understanding at the outset so that the purpose becomes clear. And so you can see what is Uttara is asking. How does one ever enter into Vrindavan? Following those who are associates of Krishna. Those who are developing their love for Krishna. Then how you establish that the residents of Braja is the greatest devotee. But how will anybody develop that kind of devotion to Krishna? So Brihat Bhagavatamrita is actually giving us that understanding in the second part. The first part established the highest devotion, and the second part is describing how to achieve that devotion. Okay? So now let us plunge into the second part of Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So, Parikshit Maharaj then started to narrate one incident, the story. We also have to understand that these are not stories. For example, how many of you have read Jaiva Dharma? Okay. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote that. Is it a story or it is real happening? Real happening. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur pointed out that we have to accept it as factual happening. Now Brihat Bhagavatamrita also is a factual happening. So Parikshit Maharaj then started to tell his mother that in the past, in Prag Jyotishpur, how many of you know where this Prag Jyotishpur is? Prag Jyotishpur is Guwahati in Assam. So in Guwahati, how many of you have gone to Guwahati? Have you been to the Kamakha temple there? It's a very famous temple of Devi. That is the Kamakha temple. Now Kamakha means Durga, Kali, same, Mahamaya. So in Prag Jyotishpur, there was a Brahmana, a poor Brahmana. And in order to become rich, he used to worship Kamakha Devi with great devotion. Now we can see, why does one worship Devi? Generally, why does one worship Devi? To become rich. So this poor Brahman was worshipping Kamakha Devi with a desire to become rich. And so he didn't have any knowledge of the scriptures. He didn't know anything better. Like he heard that, oh, you worship Devi and Devi will give you wealth. And fortunately, by the mercy of the Devi, he received the mantra from Devi. She became pleased with him. So here we can also see that how Maya Devi, when she sees that our intention is pure within our heart, then she helps us. Just as in this case, like she saw that this desire for this Brahmana to worship her, to achieve wealth, was not really his actual desire. Deep down in his heart, his desire was something else. Meaning, she could actually detect that he has the latent desire of pure devotion to the Lord. So she helped. How did she help? In a dream, she appeared to the Brahmana and gave him Gopal mantra. So thus, a 10 syllabled Gopal mantra she gave. And although he received it in a dream, the Brahmana was a simple-hearted person, so he considered, oh, Devi gave me this mantra, so I must chant this mantra. So he started to meditate upon this mantra. Now, as he started to meditate upon the mantra, as he started to sincerely chant the mantra, then his desire for material wealth, material enjoyment disappeared. So this is also another effect of pure chanting of the mantra. So when we chant the mantra properly, purely, then our heart will become pure, purified. Chetodarpanam arjanam. So purification of the heart means, the purification of the heart actually indicates, losing the desire for sense gratification. So that's what happened to the Brahmana. And the Brahmana, they lost interest for material enjoyment, acquiring wealth and so forth. And he left home, he started to travel from place to place. He just started to travel to different places of pilgrimage, maintaining himself just by begging. Simply begging and maintaining himself and traveling from places of pilgrimage. And then in this way, traveling, the Brahmana came to the Ganga Sagar, which is near here. So in Ganga Sagar he saw that there were so many saintly people have gathered there, and meeting with them, he began to he got to know, or from these people, he understood that actually the goal of life is to achieve liberation. So then he traveled to Kashi, and the place where the impersonalists generally reside, the Mayavadis. And while he was there, he also started to get affected by them. He started to think that the goal of life is actually to achieve liberation. But then he became directed again by Devi and Mahadev in a dream again. They came to him and told him that, my dear boy, don't waste your time in the association of these impersonalists. You go to Mathura. Go to Mathura Mandal. So being instructed, see, the faith of this Brahmana is so pure that although he is having the dreams, but he is taking those instructions in a dream to be real, coming from Devi herself. And so he then went to Vrindavan. So when he was in Vrindavan, he came across, one day he heard that somebody was crying. And following the sound of the cry, he saw that there is a young boy who was crying, calling out the name of the Lord. And he saw that he didn't have any external consciousness. So he treated him. And this person then came back to his senses. And so he also could recognize that this person is sincere. This Brahmana was a sincere soul. So he took pity upon him. And then he started to instruct him. He told him that my name is Gop Kumar and I used to be, I was born in the family of a cowherd people in Govardhan. And there I used to tend the cows with my friends. I used to take the cows to the forest tend them, and during the day I used to play with them. And while I was in Vrindavan, one day I used to see one person who was like a madman. He used to sometimes cry, he used to sometimes laugh, sometimes he used to roll on the ground. And in this way, this Brahmana, this particular person, used to remain there totally unconcerned about anything around him, as if he was totally unaware of his surroundings. But he used to be very affectionate towards us, the cowherd boys. And we also were very fond of him. We used to give him milk from our cows, and he used to, whenever he used to see us, he used to embrace us. And in this way, we became very fond of him. Then one day, this person, when I was alone and I met him, he told me, "Come, take a bath in the Jamuna and come to me. I will give you an wealth, give you an inconceivable wealth, which is beyond anybody's imagination." And this Gopkumar, the cowherd boy, following his instructions, went to Jamuna, took his bath, and then he came to him. So this person gave him the 10-syllabled Gopal mantra. And when he gave him the mantra, he told him, "You very carefully chant this mantra. This mantra will fulfill all your desires." And he started to explain to him about the mantra, the way to chant the mantra, the personality who the mantra is indicating. The worshipable Lord of this mantra is, Gopal mantra is Madan Gopal, Madan Mohan. So, but while he was describing about the purpose of the mantra and the way to meditate upon the mantra and the mantra devata, he fainted. He lost his consciousness, and Gopkumar also, he was so awestruck, he didn't know what to do. He just sat there. And his guru, when he came back to his consciousness, just got up and walked away from there. Just walked away. Now that he got the mantra and got the instruction from his guru, he started to sincerely chant the mantra. And by chanting the mantra, he lost interest for anything else. He didn't like to play. He didn't like to play with his cowherd boyfriends anymore. He didn't like to tend the cows. All he wanted to do is just chant the mantra. And he felt that this was just, the other things around him were just an impediment, an obstruction to his meditation of the mantra. And then, as a result of that, one day he left his home and he started to travel. Then he came to the bank of the river Ganges, and there he saw a Brahmana with great respect and reverence. He was worshipping somebody. So he asked, "Who are you worshipping? Who is that?" Then he said that this is Jagadishwar, the Lord of the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Gopkumar became very excited. He realized that this is the Lord about whom he is actually chanting the mantra and meditating. So with great respect he offered obeisances, and he was so happy that he got to finally see the Lord. In Shaligram Shila, he saw the Lord, but when this Brahmana put the Shaligram back to his box to take him away, his Gopkumar started to cry. That look, he is putting the Lord of the universe in this small little box and taking him away. He didn't feed him, and in this box how will the Lord sleep? And then this Brahmana told him that, look, I am a poor Brahmana. I do not have the ability to worship the Lord in a proper way. But if you really want to see the proper worship of the Lord, then go to this king. His kingdom is not too far from here. And you see with what grandeur he worships the Supreme Personality of God. So hearing that, Gopkumar, although he was invited by the Brahmana to take prasad at his place, and although Gopkumar was hungry, but he did not wait for that. He immediately left to see the Lord who is being worshipped by the king with great grandeur. So this is also another wonderful instruction that we are getting here. That when we develop that intense love for the Lord, then we don't care for hunger and thirst and so forth. Our simple concern becomes how to approach the Lord. And Gopkumar came to this place and he found that the king is worshipping the Lord in a grand temple. And the Lord is standing there with his 4 arms, holding conch, lotus, mess and disc. And so he started to dance in ecstasy, seeing the Lord in that way. And then Gopkumar he liked that situation so much, he just kept on staying there. And the Vaishnavas there used to be very merciful towards him, and they used to bring him prasad, and they used to take care of him. And Gopkumar was happy just spending his day there, just watching the Lord being worshipped in such a wonderful way. And the devotees of the Lord are serving him in such a nice way. So Gopkumar kept on spending his time there. The king of that country did not have any son. And the king decided to accept Gopkumar as his adopted son. Although Gopkumar was a stranger, but the king accepted him as his son. And when the king died, Gopkumar became the king. So then Gopkumar was staying there, but he was not interested in, although he became the king, he was not interested in any kind of material enjoyment. His only concern was how to serve the Lord and how to promote his service, how to extend his glory. But he became the king, so he started to realize that his responsibility as a king was an impediment to his devotion to the Lord, devotional service to the Lord. Because the kingdom, becoming a king, he had so many anxiety also, the fear of other kings attacking his kingdom, and so many other such threats and fears. And he also used to see that people were not that respectful towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his prasad. And in this way, then one day he decided to give up the responsibilities to other members of the family. And he retired from the position of the king. But although he retired, but by the time everybody knew him, so he found that that was another impediment. that wherever he can't really chant properly because so many people are surrounding him, so many people are approaching him. But at the same time, he was so attached to the Lord that he could not give up his service and his association. Then one day, he saw some pilgrims came and they started to tell him about a place called Nilachal, Purushottam Kshetra, on the bank of the saltwater ocean. And there the Lord is present as Jagannath. And the Lord there is so merciful that he accepts all the offerings from all his devotees and he distributes his prasad to others, and his prasad is treated as transcendental mercy of the Lord. Like even though they are touched and even though they are apparently unclean, even though they are taken away from the temple and taken to distant places, but that prasad of Lord Jagannath is considered to be always pure. Now hearing that, Gopkumar just left and for Jagannath Puri. So when he came to Jagannath Puri, he got an intense desire to go to the Lord and embrace him, seeing his beautiful form. His eyes were large, like two fully bloomed lotuses. His face has a beautiful, enchanting smile, and his hands were stretched forward as if he was trying to embrace his devotees. So seeing that, Gopkumar just ran to meet the Lord. But the guards of the Lord, who had sticks in their hand, they beat him and brought him to his senses. So he felt very embarrassed and he walked out of the temple. As he came out of the temple, the other devotees gave him Jagannath's Mahaprasad. So by taking Mahaprasad, he came back to his senses and became normal, and then he entered into the temple again and he saw the beautiful form of the Lord and he just wanted to offer himself completely to his lotus feet. And then Gopkumar just started to stay there just as he was staying in the previous temple. The whole day he would just stay there watching the beautiful service to the Lord, beautiful worship, beautiful expression of his devotees, of their love towards the Lord. And then in the meantime, the king of that place, Gopkumar also used to see that the king used to come there and serve Lord Jagannath, especially a very special festival of Jagannath when he used to go to another temple called Gundicha, riding on a chariot. And the king used to render menial service to the Lord, like sweeping the streets, etc. So Gopkumar was very impressed seeing that. And this is how he was spending his time. And then the king died, and the king's son did not want to become the king. So the kingdom was without, the throne was without a king. So Jagannath inspired the ministers of the king to look for somebody who has the divine symptoms in his person. And then they found those signs in the body of Gopkumar. So they made Gopkumar the king of Jagannath Puri. So he accepted the responsibility because it was the will of the Lord. And so when he was spending his time in Jagannath Puri, one day he saw his spiritual master chanting and dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. But he was in such ecstasy that Gopkumar could not approach him or did not feel like bringing him back from his ecstatic mood. And then when he looked at Lord Jagannath, he became so absorbed seeing the beautiful face of Lord Jagannath that he forgot about his Guru. And he didn't know when his Guru actually left the temple. So he started to feel very bad that after such a long time, he saw his spiritual master, but he lost him. And then one day he saw his Guru on the bank of the ocean, and in his ecstatic way he was chanting the holy name of the Lord and dancing. So Gopkumar then approached him, fell falling at his feet. So when his spiritual master saw him, he picked him up and he embraced him. And he then told him about his mantra, that he said, in the meantime, Gopkumar started to feel such ecstasy seeing Lord Jagannath and being close to him, that he felt that the chanting of the mantra now has achieved its perfection. So he stopped chanting. So his spiritual master told him that this mantra will fulfill all your desires. So don't ever stop chanting the mantra. Keep on chanting, meditating on the mantra. So then Gopkumar again started to sincerely chant the mantra, and he started to feel that intense attachment to the Lord. His attachment to the Lord was becoming intensified. So he became, and at that time he started to feel for Vrindavan. And although he wanted to go to Vrindavan, his heart wanted to go to Vrindavan, but he could not leave Jagannath Puri, thinking, he couldn't leave his good fortune of seeing and being in the presence of Lord Jagannath. So one day Lord Jagannath appeared to him in a dream and told him, Gopkumar, Mathura Mandal and this place, there is no difference. That's my birthplace, Mathura. So if you want to go there, you can go there, don't fear anything. So then, being instructed by Lord Jagannath, Gopkumar decided to go to Vrindavan. So he came to Vrindavan, and he did not want to meet his friends and other people. So being in a solitary corners of the forests of Vrindavan, he started to chant the holy name, chant the 10-syllable Gopal mantra that he received from his spiritual master. But while he was in Vrindavan, he was missing the Lord's personal association. He started to feel that intense desire to be with the Lord, to see the Lord. So he one day decided to leave Vrindavan for Jagannath Puri. So while he was traveling to Jagannath Puri, he came across some devotees who started to describe about a place which is beyond this planet, known as Swargaloka. And they started to describe how the residents of Swargaloka are free from birth, death, old age and disease. And there, the Lord is personally present as the younger brother of the king of that place. And the name of the king of that place is Indra. So this is how, when Gopkumar heard about the Lord being personally present as the younger brother of Indra, he desired to go there. And as he chanted the mantra with the desire of going to the heavenly planet, a chariot came from the heavenly planet to take him there. So here we can also see the potency of the mantra. If we desire something, if we chant the mantra desiring something, then that desire becomes fulfilled. So Gopkumar is now elevated. He riding on the chariot, he went to heavenly planet. And in the heavenly planet he saw all these wonderful personalities. They are so effulgent and they are so joyful. And there he was given the place, he was received by Indra himself, Upendra himself. And he told him, my dear friend, my dear boy, now that you have come here, you stay here. And he made arrangements for him to stay in the garden called Nandankanan. So Gopkumar started to live in the heavenly planet, seeing how Indra is serving Upendra or Vaman Dev. And Vaman Dev is personally accepting the offerings from Indra. And Vaman Dev also was so merciful to Gopkumar that whenever Gopkumar offered something to him, he also accepted it personally with his own hands. So in this way he was spending his time. Then one day, Indra, being afraid of some curse of a Brahmana, he left heavenly planet. He disappeared. So Indra's position became vacant. No Indra in heavenly planet. So then Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, guided them to make Gopkumar as Indra. So Gopkumar now became Indra in the heavenly planet. Although Gopkumar became Indra, but he did not have any desire to enjoy there. He still stayed on it, but he was just staying in the Nandankanan as before, but he was executing all the responsibilities of the king of the demigods. He was encouraging and arranging for everyone to render service to the Lord to the best of their ability and love, preaching Krishna consciousness, and this is how he was also taking care of the other planetary systems. Then one day Gopkumar saw some extremely powerful looking personalities came. They were so powerful that their bodies seemed like effulgent as thousands of suns. But Maharloka doesn't get destroyed. So then Gopkumar wanted to go to Maharloka and he was elevated to Maharloka by the potency of the mantra. And in Maharloka he started to stay there with the other sages, and he used to see that they are performing sacrifice, and at the completion of the sacrifice the Lord appeared and accepted their offerings and fulfilling their desires. In this way, through their loving exchange, they were deriving intense joy. So, and when at the time of annihilation, the heat became so intense that Maharloka, although did not become destroyed, but became very, very hot. And at that time they were elevated, they left Maharloka and went to the next planetary system called Janaloka. When they were in the Janaloka, then one day Gopkumar saw a little boy who looked like 5 or 6 years old. But he was so effulgent, and all the Maharshis, the great sages, offered him obeisances, falling at his feet, and they treated him with such great honor and respect. So Gopkumar began to wonder who he was. And then he was told that his name is Sanat Kumar. He is the first son of Lord Brahma. And he has 3 other brothers like that. Although he is the oldest in this universe, the first children of Lord Brahma, but he looks just like this 5-6-year-old boy. And so seeing Sanat Kumar and hearing about the place where he lives, the place called Tapaloka, Gopkumar desired to go there. And by chanting his mantra, now he is elevated to Tapaloka. And there he also assumed an effulgent form like appropriate to them. That everybody is absorbed. Like he would ask something to them, to these 4 Kumaras, but he wouldn't get any answer. And then when he wondered why is that, why no one talks, then he was told that they simply meditate upon the Lord in the heart. And in this way, through their meditation, they see the Lord in the heart, and they see also the Lord outside. Inside in their heart and outside everywhere, they see the Lord. And then Gopkumar also started to see that the Lord is present in their meditation, and he started to perceive the Lord also in that way. And then Gopkumar got to know about another planet which is even above Tapaloka, and that is Satyaloka. And then Gopkumar, as he got to know about that place, he was elevated to Tapaloka, and there he met Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma very affectionately accepted him. And then at one point, Lord Brahma became afraid of some demon. Playfully he touched the water of the Garbha ocean, and a demon appeared. And Brahma ran out of fear of the demon. Now, Satyaloka is devoid of Brahma. Brahma is missing. The position of Brahma now became vacant. So the sages there made Gopkumar the Brahma. So Gopkumar now became the Brahma, and he stayed there ruling over that the entire universe, trying to promote the devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then one day the Lord himself instructed him to go back to Vrindavan. And so then Gopkumar, being instructed by the Lord, went back to Vrindavan. Now so many kalpas went by, But the whole planet, all the planetary systems have changed completely. But when he came to Vrindavan, he found that Vrindavan was exactly the same. So this also indicates that annihilation or pralaya affects all the three planetary systems, but Vrindavan and Mayapur remains the same. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Premanande.